Hi, are you Andrew?
I am. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you. You can have a seat. How are you doing today?
Great.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, what brings you in?
I'm just kind of seeking a career change.
Okay.
I'm not quite happy with where I'm at.
Okay, that's fair. So, I have the assessments that I had you do after you called originally, and I kind of have some of your results, and I looked over all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go off of that today, as well as kind of do what we call an intake interview. So I'm going to ask you just a few basic questions, some demographic info. We're going to go over some like occupational goals you have, maybe like former careers that you've had, family history, things like that. As well as some other information, just so that I can kind of get a clear picture of where to go from there. How does that sound?
Right.
Good? Okay, cool. So, we're going to kind of work together to answer some of the questions. So the first bit of the questions are just going to be basic info about yourself and demographics. Then we'll get into info a little bit deeper from there. So the first question, what's your full name?
Andrea Bone.
Nice. What's your date of birth?
August 3rd, 1986.
Okay. Is there a phone number I can reach you at?
Yes, 920-227-3330.
Awesome. And then do you have an email that I can reach you at?
Yeah, Andrea Bone.
Same as BO10.
35 at gmail.com.
And then do you have a home address that I can put down?
Yes, 2940 West 4th Street. Apartment 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, I'm assuming?
Wisconsin.
Awesome. Okay. And then is it okay to communicate with you through any of these means? Like, can I leave a message on a phone?
Yes.
All that kind of stuff? Okay. Just want to make sure. So now we're going to get into some of the educational questions. So some of your background with schooling and stuff like that. So what's your highest level of formal education? And by that, I just mean like any degrees you've obtained, any like certificates, certifications, things like that.
I have a technical diploma
Okay.
from Northeast Wisconsin Technical College.
And what is that in? What area?
Surgical technology.
Awesome. When did you obtain that? Like about how many years ago?
2010.
2010. Awesome. So what kind of subjects and stuff do you like to study in school? Do you like biology and all the sciences and stuff?
Like human biology, anatomy, physiology.
History. Awesome. What kind of stuff do you really not like to study? So like the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the classes you really didn't like in school.
Just math mostly.
Math, okay. So you like the science bit, but not the math bit.
Right.
Awesome. Okay.
Usually those two go hand in hand.
I know, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. It's okay. We'll figure this out. So we're going to get into some of your employment history. So what's your current employment status? So this would be full-time, part-time, self-employed, unemployed.
I am full-time.
Okay.
I'm a surgical technologist at Pinnacle Cataract and Laser Institute in Appleton.
How do you spell cataract?
CATARACT.
Awesome. Institute.
And part-time
Okay.
sales associate at Shields Sports.
Okay. Awesome. And how satisfied would you say you are with, we'll start with Pinnacle. So how satisfied on like a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 being you really don't like it there, 10 being it's like your dream job.
Like a 6.5.
Okay. And you said you didn't like math.
I also don't like whole numbers.
So then what would you say with Shields?
Oh, currently probably about a 4.
Okay. What do you like? Now, this is getting a little bit more specific. So you rated Pinnacle a 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the thing that makes it that 6.5? Like, what's the good thing about Pinnacle?
I love working in the medical field. I really like to make a difference in people's lives.
Awesome.
Granted, it's not really a huge difference per se, but it's improving the quality of life, and I find that really neat, and that's just something I enjoy doing every day.
Okay. That's cool. Rewarding. So is that something you hope to accomplish from it? It's mainly kind of getting that feeling like you're making a difference. Yes. Your main like driving force.
Yeah.
So do you feel like with Shields, what is kind of the thing that gives you those 4 points? So what's the thing that you really like about working at Shields?
I get to meet new people every day, and I like to be. It's kind of helping people, but in a different realm. It's helping people with personal goals as opposed to like health situations.
And then do you like working in your current career field? So that could be, you can choose either sales, we'll do both. Do you like working in the medical field? Like
Yes.
you said you love, okay.
Yes.
So that's something that you definitely like working in this field.
Yes.
What about sales? Would you continue working in sales?
I would, but in a different context.
Okay, that's fair. Do you want to expand on that?
Sure. So there's sales reps that come in through companies that we work for that will come in, and it's kind of like an improved surgical technique through Pinnacle.
Okay.
Or it's different instruments that can improve an outcome in a surgery. There's always something that's different, and I think that's really neat.
Yeah, that would be cool.
As opposed to just, would you like a pair of gym shorts?
Yeah, so that would be a really cool combination of the two. So you're still working in the medical field, and you're still like helping people, but also kind of like showing the benefits to the different instruments that you use, or things that could benefit them better in a way. So like more efficient. So what do you specifically, the part that you said you like about the field that you're working in is mainly just the helping people. So in both of those fields, that's kind of your ideal. Okay. What's something that you really don't like? So in terms of sales and in terms of the medical field, what's stuff that you're not really a fan of?
In sales, it's the hours.
Okay.
I work late and work early the next day, so that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting working, 60 sometimes plus hours a week.
Yeah. What about at Pinnacle? What's something that you dislike?
It's pretty repetitive. It's the same thing every day.
Okay. It's funny in the medical field, repetitive, but I mean that makes sense. Like if you're,
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of already touched on this question, but if you could do anything you wanted, what would it be? So if you could literally, like, no boundaries whatsoever, what sort of thing would you do as a career?
This might kind of sound nerdy.
No, not at all.
But I would probably like to do a lot of like mission work, like medical mission work.
That would be cool.
That'd be really cool to kind of, I don't want to organize it, but to...
Yeah, then you'd have the option of, like, really feeling like you're, giving back to people and really helping out. That would be cool. So, what would you say are your top 5 values just in life? So this is in general, that you look for in a career. So if you basically, you get hired at a new job, if you're looking to, you're looking for these top 5 things that are really important to you, and if this company doesn't follow these top 5, then, it's not going to work.
I would say making a difference in lives or the community. That's kind of hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of honesty and open communication between management and employers, or employees, I should say.
Yeah, 3 more tough ones.
3 more. Oh boy. Making a difference. Honesty. I would say probably like a family values.
Okay.
I think being close to family is really important.
2 more.
Does good community standing count? I don't know, because that's
Like,
kind of
like a good name and
like
reputation.
like a good reputation. So I would hate to work for a company that you would say, oh, I work for ABC Corporation, and just go, people have a negative reaction to it. I would not like
So reputation.
reputation. Yeah.
It's like status.
Yeah.
Because you'd think about if you're applying to or applying these to yourself. So values that you personally have, you value kind of your reputation, your status within, the people in the community, the people that you work with, the people, your friends, family, that kind of thing. You value how they see you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like it goes hand in hand?
Yeah.
Okay. One more.
I think this one was everything. I would say.
So your first one is making a difference in the lives of others and the community. Having honest and open communication. So you mentioned with management and employees, and then having family values, like a close family relationship, reputation and status.
Like a good working environment. I would.
Okay. Yep.
I like to feel close with my coworkers and know that I can trust them.
So trust. Would you say that's more important than environment as a word to put down?
They almost go hand in hand, but yeah, I suppose so.
Awesome.
If you don't have trust, you kind of have a poor environment.
I was thinking more when you said environment, more internalizing it, working outside versus inside versus
no,
not
like
that kind
like
of yeah.
Like a work environment.
Okay, that makes sense. So more the interaction of people.
Yes.
Got it.
The surgical field is not great for the environment.
Yeah. What kind of barriers could get in the way of meeting your career goals or working in this career? So what stuff that kind of...
A lot of the times it's just politics in the medical field are pretty atrocious.
Okay. Politics meaning, you said, that environment, that last...
Yeah, the environment, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really elaborate on that besides it's kind of a special field, I suppose. It's kind of the same everywhere, but there's a hierarchy that needs to be followed.
Okay.
And
That makes sense.
sometimes it's not a great hierarchy.
Okay. So would you say that's kind of your only big barrier that gets in the way of kind of doing, meeting your main goals of helping people, making a difference?
In terms of like politics or like what do you?
Well, so like barriers getting in the way of meeting like your primary goal. So like your main goal in like your job would be, you know, kind of the stuff that we talked about. Like you really want to help people. You kind of like want to make people's lives better, like their quality of life better.
Yeah.
So do you think politics is kind of the primary reason?
Yeah,
behind...
external and internal politics, like the insurance companies, etc.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. So what's something that, like, from a past job or like a past career experience, this can be like internship, volunteer, you know, any sort of past work experience, I suppose, that you really enjoyed? So what's something that you enjoyed like the absolute most? I know it's a tough question.
That is. I mean, I really just like helping people, and that's. I feel like I always kind of come back to that. If I don't feel like I'm making a difference, I really don't.
Okay. Is there like a specific case? I know you can't go into like specifics with like names and everything, but is there something like that you really liked, like a specific surgery you did, or?
Yeah. We had a 16-year-old patient come in with cataract. She had a lot of medical problems. And she had come into the OR. They're sedated, not put under. So we can still talk with them and kind of communicate with them throughout the whole procedure. And we kind of got her backstory. She had all these medical problems, and she couldn't read her textbooks for the last 2 years.
That's rough.
Yeah. And being 16, like she enjoys reading, and she enjoys, you know, having sight, like which is like the two at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, at the end of the surgery, she just like started crying, and we, my nurse that was in there at the time, we just looked at each other like, is she in pain? So we asked her, hey, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Can we do something to
help you out?
Like, are you in pain? Like,
exactly.
That's like our main concern after a procedure. And she goes, I don't think you guys understand, but I have not been able to read a textbook in 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
So that was...
Yeah, 16-year-old too, that's like high school.
16, that's, like a sophomore in high school. So that was
super rewarding.
Really very rewarding.
Yeah.
We actually still talk about it. It's probably been years now.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So now that we've established the good side of things, now we're going to kind of talk about something that you absolutely despised. So what's something that in a past job or career experience, so same kind of application, that you really did not like at all? So you would say it was your worst job experience you've ever had.
I mean, this kind of was a teaching moment.
Okay. We all have those.
The teaching moment was it did not follow doctor's orders.
Okay.
And it's something that I do every surgery. I kind of have a routine. And this particular order said, do not do this part of your job, and I did that part of my job, and I got chastised pretty harshly.
So you're
which is fine, but it kind of made me feel really small.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good So that would be a good explanation for why you say your big barrier getting in the way would be like the politics of things and the hierarchy, and also something that you probably really don't like. So a barrier is also something that we don't necessarily really look for in a job. So yeah, that's something that definitely could make a difference.
Yeah, and I really don't remember what I was going to say. like no room for advancement also is kind of
Okay.
another part of my current position with
Mm-hmm.
with the surgical job.
And then from that teaching moment, as you called it, where you said you didn't follow the doctor's orders and it kind of made you feel small, is it mainly something that you don't like not having kind of like a set, like you like to follow procedure? Is that kind of the thing that you really didn't like about it as well? Was the fact that it was going against what would be like a routine? Like you like things...
Yeah, I mean, he had a very good reason for not wanting me to do this.
Okay.
And I actually just recently made that same mistake not that long ago.
Sorry to bring it back up.
It's alright. Yeah.
Okay. So what skills do you think you have that really make you kind of stand out in your career? And like a good way to think about this is like, why are you unique from the other people that like would do your job? You know, what makes you special, I guess?
I have many years of experience in my current position, which most people who work in surgery have like a general, they don't work in eyes.
Okay.
So they have like a general surgery, and sometimes they can do like ENT, whereas I just always do ENT. So I have a very in-depth knowledge on that topic.
Okay. Awesome. So experience would be kind of like your main thing. So what's something that you can do easily that other people find super difficult?
I can talk with people relatively easily.
Okay.
I work in sales, so it's easy for me. Like, people come into the OR and they're really nervous, which is very understandable.
Makes sense, yeah.
I would be too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what other people do in their ORs. I don't work with the other scrub techs, but I try to get the patient's mind off of being in the OR. So I ask them about, family or what they would be doing if they weren't there, or just really anything to get their minds off of it. Any hobbies. People like talking about themselves, so I try to get them to talk about themselves.
Nice. So you would say, like, I guess a good way to put it would be like breaking the ice, or like the communication, like initial communication is pretty simple for you. I think you would say you find that pretty
In a work environment.
You find
yes.
it easier, yes.
In a work environment. Yes.
Okay. So not outside the work. Like, do you feel like that's...
Like, I have more control at work than I do outside of work.
Okay, that would make sense. So now we're going to use the flip side of that. What's something that you find super difficult that other people find pretty easy?
Probably the flip side of the coin, and just maybe effective communication.
Okay. So you communicate well, but not effectively? Is that kind of what you're getting at? If I'm trying to pinpoint.
I talk a lot, but I don't have much to say.
Okay.
I guess that's kind of the best analogy.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure I can. Yeah. Awesome. So, do you feel there's like additional training or skills that you could acquire in order to kind of make things easier for you? So, in order to effectively communicate or talk with something to say, I guess, to try to put it in your own words, do you think that there's something that, like some sort of training or something that you could acquire to work on that?
It's kind of just getting into that process, just kind of, I don't want to say more hands-on, but I'm better with like a hands-on kind of a learning situation. So if I'm in a situation, I learn better than I do like reading about a situation.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a very like tactile learner.
Tactile, yes.
Okay. That makes sense in the surgery department.
Yes.
Awesome. So now we're going to get into some of your hobbies and like your family background, so the fun stuff, right? So what's something you like to do for fun? How do you spend your time off when you're not working your 2 jobs? What do I do for fun?
What do I do for fun? A lot of the time, I like to travel. I like to go to restaurants. I like to try new foods.
Okay.
I like to, I guess for lack of a better word, I kind of like to wander around the city or
Okay,
a
cool.
different city or just kind of explore things.
That's cool. So adventure.
Adventure.
Fun. Literally. So in terms of fun, you mainly, that's your big one. You like to kind of just adventure in terms of your food, in terms of where you are, in terms of, things you do. So would you say you're adventurous in like activities you like to do too? So, you'd go skydiving.
I would love to go skydiving.
Okay, yep, so that's right. So adrenaline kind of, you like spontaneity,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm not good at planning.
We're going to write that down.
Oh, good.
So in terms of your family, so what did like your parents or guardians do for like a career or work or employment if they were?
Yeah, my mom is a receptionist.
Okay.
I think she's been a receptionist for probably like 25 years.
Okay.
My dad is a semi-truck driver.
Oh, okay. What kind of company do they both like work for? So, is your dad like what kind of stuff does he distribute as a semi-truck?
Manufacturing, so he does like delivers chairs and tables and office furniture.
And then your mom with reception. What kind of like field is it in?
Medical.
Medical. Okay.
She works for the competitor.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That's gotta be interesting.
She got that job after I got mine.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So would you say that they're, like if you had to use that same satisfaction rating, the 1 to 10 that we mentioned before with your career, would you say that they're pretty satisfied with their career? Their careers, I suppose.
My mom has wanted to retire since she's been like 20, so I would say probably not.
Probably not, so like a 1.
Probably, can you give less than?
Sure. 0 out of
Yeah.
10. And then Dad?
He's retired, so I don't.
Oh.
I mean, I guess right now 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't really know that answer.
Okay, that's fair.
He had a union job, and I guess I would say probably enjoyed it.
Okay.
He doesn't like to stand still very long, so
Okay.
I kind of gave him an opportunity to. He was local, so he just drove around Green Bay.
Oh, cool.
So he was satisfied in that he didn't have to go cross country. He was
you could be home every night, that kind of thing. Okay. I know that's important in the driving industry, basically.
Yes, very.
What types of careers do other significant family members, so like a brother, a sister, others that are in your family, so that you would like consider like close family ties. What do they do? And has that influenced you? So you can choose kind of either section of that question.
I want nothing to do with manufacturing.
Okay.
I did that for like 3 weeks and I hated it. I guess with my mom in the medical-ish field, it's always been intriguing to me. I know from like a young age that I always have wanted to be in the medical field.
Okay, cool.
But my cousin's wife actually, she has a really cool job where she described it to me as, have you ever seen the show? And I cannot think of what it's called now.
Is it I'm assuming a medical show? Or
No.
No, not medical field. Okay.
No, the TV, it's, I used to watch it every week.
Okay. It'll come to you, right?
Yeah, like, is it called Sharks? With like Mark Cuban and...
Yeah, Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, okay,
Yes.
yeah, Shark Tank. So she basically is Shark Tank for medical supplies.
That's really cool.
Which
that
is
would be
really
a fun job. That would be right up your alley, like you were kind of mentioning.
So that sounded really, really very awesome, the way she described it. I'm not exactly sure the nuts and bolts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But people invent new medical supplies, and then they pitch it to her, and then she kind of says, like, I'm in on this, or I'm not in on this, and that seemed actually really cool.
Yeah. That would combine your two current jobs pretty well as well,
Yeah,
too.
Yes, very much.
Awesome. So, have you ever met with a career counselor before?
No.
No? Okay. So we're going to skip the next question. What is a goal that you hope to achieve after today's meeting? So what are you looking to get out of today?
To find a career path. I mean, I've started with getting accepted into school, just kind of
That's good.
the process of which direction should I go.
Where are you going?
UW Milwaukee.
And you said you already have your technical diploma, is that what I call it? Or is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's...
So how would this, I guess, expand? Like, which degree are you looking to acquire?
A bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's degree. Awesome. Good for you. So I definitely know after one, short meeting, we probably won't be able to pinpoint directly like all of the answers for a career path, but we can kind of get you on the right foot to start that search. So with some of the assessments I had you do, it probably narrowed some of that stuff down, and we'll talk about those results in a little bit. But it's something that, we'll gain some knowledge into as we go along. So I'll have you maybe do some other assessments. We'll kind of go through some more meetings and have you interview at different places, kind of get through the process a little bit, and that help narrow it down. And hopefully through some of your classes as well in school, you'll see, more of what you hate and more of what you love, and that'll help narrow down as well. So now that we have some information about you and your background and just some general stuff about you, we're going to go over the results. So you did your homework, which was good. So that's the first step. And I'm just going to kind of talk about what I found, maybe ask you if it sounds pretty accurate, and then we're going to talk about what to do next. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Yeah? Awesome. So after analyzing the results from your 16 personalities assessment that I had you do, I can see that this is going to sound weird if you don't know what I'm talking about, but an ISTP. So you usually get 4 letters with this assessment. And this basically means that you're a virtuoso, is what it's kind of called online, personality type. And you're more introverted, sensing, thinking, and perception. Those are kind of like your automatic personality traits that you go to. So you're a little bit more introverted versus extroverted. You love to like explore things with your hands and your eyes, and you're curious about the world around you, which would make sense why, something that you like to do for fun, like hobbies and stuff, would be going and doing like adventurous things. So going to new places, trying new food, fits your personality type. You like to build and make projects, even if it's just for fun. So you like to kind of like take things apart and put things back together. You like to like use your hands and use all 5 senses to kind of do that. And you like to get your hands dirty. Like I said, break things apart just to figure out how to put them back together. So you kind of like the puzzle challenge. And you like the unpredictability of it. So you don't want to have kind of what you were mentioning with your current job right now. You don't like to have just the same thing every day. So the repetition is something that you really don't like, which makes sense. And you like to work under pressure or when there's like adrenaline situations with like a practical solution. So that kind of would mean, working in the medical field would be a really good fit because obviously you have a patient that, is on certain medications or you name it and you're put in surgery and that's an adrenaline situation, you have to monitor a lot of different things. There's a practical solution, there's an end goal to the surgery. You have kind of these parameters of what should be done, but if things go wrong, you kind of also have parameters of ways that you should act, I guess.
Yeah. It kind of makes me laugh with like orthopedics because I hate watching other people put like broken bones back together because I kind of want to be the person that does it. I get so bored watching people. I just want to do it myself.
That would make sense. Based on your personality type, that would actually make a lot of sense.
It makes so much sense now. Okay.
So yeah, that, does that sounds pretty accurate?
Yeah.
And then based on the assessment, we can also analyze some of the common jobs, strengths and weaknesses, how you are in romantic relationships or like friendships, different famous people that have your personality type. So if you're curious about any of that kind of stuff, that would be pretty cool to look at. So talking about some of the career fits that kind of from mind you, this is just the 16 personalities assessment. So some of the career fits, I guess, that would work with your personality type the best would be anything that you are able to troubleshoot and create new things and solve practical problems. So some examples that the assessment gave were engineering, mechanics, forensic science, designing, an emergency room worker, business owner, a systems analyst, or a field that's dynamic where the risk equals reward. So something where you have to take all these risks, but you know that the reward could be better than the risk you're taking. So anything where, if you think about like business deals, you're spending all this money or like you said with your cousin's wife, where she basically has to decide to invest in this tool or this instrument, and if it's going to be beneficial, if she spends all this money, is this actually going to help in this field, that kind of thing. So the risk would equal the reward, or be better than the reward. So does that sound pretty accurate of the kind of job that you'd love to do?
Yes.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the part of this assessment is when we compare the 16 personalities assessment with the other assessments of the career clusters one that I had you do with the boxes, when I compared the two, some of the clusters that you scored the lowest in, somewhat felt like you might score higher, which was actually kind of interesting because of your personality type. But it could be because of like you were saying, the mundane or like repetitive tasks that might be in some of the fields that I kind of was like when comparing the two, of like the job type and like the outlook. When you looked at like what kind of field would fit in which cluster based on like your personality, some of them I was like, okay, this wouldn't necessarily be. This is too mundane. Is kind of how that would be the reasoning for why I think some of the clusters you didn't score as high in, if that makes sense. You actually scored the highest in health science careers, which is good. Manufacturing careers, surprisingly, and law, public safety, corrections, and security. So these would align pretty well with your personality type because they require troubleshooting problems, fixing things that are broken and wrong and putting them back together, finding solutions for things, having practicality in their solutions. And you don't need to be outgoing in the careers that you're doing. Like, you can solve a lot of the problems on your own. Like you said, people breaking bones, you don't like to see others put them back together. You know, you want to be the one to do that. A lot of the problems that you have in some of these careers, you can do like your one task. You know what I mean? Like manufacturing, you could have your one spot on an assembly line or wherever it may be, you know, your one job. And like, you can do that really well.
I would get bored.
See, yep. So that's something that we kind of have to,
Did it for 3 weeks.
take into account.
I'm notorious for wandering.
So yeah, like, you don't have to necessarily be outgoing, and you can solve these problems on your own, but you do not like the monotony and kind of the mundane side of things. So it makes sense with your position at Pinnacle, because it falls perfectly into the health science career. That's okay. It falls right into like your health science cluster, and also there's a lot of, like I was saying, there's adrenaline. The only thing that's the downside is the repetition. Yeah. Make sense?
Yes.
You did score, and this is kind of what I was elaborating on, you did score the lowest in the STEM cluster, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You don't like math, so, I mean, that might make sense. IT was also one of your lowest, so information technology, and finance were your lowest three in the clusters.
I'm not really shocked by any of that.
Okay. Why would you say that?
Finances, I want nothing to do with. It bores me. I don't want to. If I have to have a calculator in my job, I don't want to do that. I mean, science and technology, I'm a little surprised by, to be honest.
That's kind of when
I think it's. I have a very like pinpoint interest in certain sciences. Like, I don't care so much about. I shouldn't say care, but like geology. I don't care about geology.
That makes sense.
I would much rather take a human anatomy class than look at pebbles all day. Like, that is not interesting to me. I would rather look at a liver than talk about like photosynthesis all day. Like, that is incredibly boring to me.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I have a very specific interest in like human biology as opposed to all the other sciences. Like, physics is what goes up must come down, and that's I guess repetition. It has
gravity, though. No, I'm kidding.
It's just a theory.
So yeah, that's honestly kind of some of the reason why I said some of the clusters. That was kind of my reasoning for why you may have not scored. With interpretation, obviously trying to keep everything as objective as I could when looking at stuff. I was kind of thinking the only thing that would really set this apart would be the repetition. And so, yeah, like a lot of times in financial careers, you know, you're doing the same kind of, I guess, calculations throughout the day. With STEM careers, you could be doing, you know, a lot of the same things, engineering the same kind of roads, engineering, you know, you name it.
Yeah.
And then with IT, you know, solving and troubleshooting the same viruses or that kind of thing. So there could be some monotony in those careers, so that would make sense. And then based on the 16 personalities assessment, your strengths that we can work to kind of model in a career that you're satisfied with are optimism, energy, creativity, practicality, and spontaneity, and there's more. Rationality, great in a crisis, relaxation, and good at prioritizing. So, do those sound pretty accurate? Yeah. On the other hand, your weaknesses of your personality type are that you can be stubborn, you can be insensitive, you can be a private and reserved person.
I certainly do not know what you're talking about.
It's just the personality assessment. Easily bored, you don't like commitment, and you sometimes engage in risky behavior, which would make sense. Risk equals reward, that kind of same concept. So after kind of taking in all this information of my analysis of basically you, does that sound pretty accurate and understand what the results are saying? Yes? Awesome. So the next steps from here, so homework option number 2. So the next thing I'm going to have you do is go on what's called the ONET website. So it's O with a little star asterisk and then capital NET. I'll help you get it all set up after our appointment today. And search for health science occupations. So I'm going to have you kind of go through. The ONET system was created. It's basically created by the Department of Labor, and they have a whole bunch of information. You can look on different skills that you have, so based on the information I gave you in the other assessments. But I want you to look at health science occupations. And I say this because it seems like you kind of want to stay in the career field of, the medical field and health science because you like that rewarding aspect of it. And it fits your personality type pretty well with the adrenaline aspects and risk equals reward, all that kind of thing. So it's something that fits your cluster the most, it fits your personality type the most. But now we just got to kind of pinpoint it even further. So kind of what you were saying, you want a career path. So on this website, you can search for a number of different occupations based on skills, interests, and some other aspects, and find out more information about education and training you might need, wages, so the average pay, job outlook, so if this job is going to completely go downhill and no longer be an option, or if it's going to do the opposite, it's a hot job. And I want you to kind of go on the website and just kind of play around a bit at first. Just doing some research for occupations where you might solve problems under pressure, learn new things. Basically, things that are constantly changing is what I kind of want to get at. Where you don't need to interact socially a ton, so maybe a receptionist would not be your ideal career just because it's something where you're talking to people all the time. Effective, but also just communicating. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah? Okay. So I'll get you some more information on the website and the website address and everything before you leave here today. Does that kind of meet the goals you had for today's appointment?
Yes.
Yeah? So how are you feeling moving forward?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, I'll do some research on the website.
Awesome. Were you surprised to hear some of the stuff with your personality assessment and the clusters and everything?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
That's fair.
No.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you came in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll get you my card as well as get you kind of some more information on the ONET website. Make sure you kind of know how to get there and everything like that. So, awesome. Well, it was great to finally meet you. I'm glad you came in. So we'll walk you on out.